All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to crack open the detective's toolkit to understand a really powerful way to solve complicated puzzles. We're going to see how the exact same logic that helped Sherlock Holmes solve a totally baffling crime is used by researchers today to figure out everything from world politics to major health crises. You've probably heard this quote a million times, right? But it's so much more than just a clever line from a story. It's the absolute core principle behind a serious analytical method. It's this promise that even the most tangled up problems have a logical answer if you just know how to look. This idea right here, it's going to be our North Star for this whole explainer. Okay, so to really get a feel for this, let's jump into a classic Sherlock Holmes case called The Adventure of Silver Blaze. And believe me, this mystery is a true head-scratcher. You've got a world-famous racehorse that's just vanished right before a huge race, and its trainer has been found dead out on the moors. So here's what the police are looking at. The #1 racehorse in the country, gone. The trainer, John Straker, dead from a really nasty blow to the head. And they've even got a guy in custody, Fitzroy Simpson, who was seen hanging around the stables. Seems pretty open and shut, right? Well, not exactly. The local police are completely stumped. And that's the big question, isn't it? How did Holmes pull it off? Was it just some flash of genius? Some kind of superpower? No, not at all. He solved it by using a system, a method, a way of organizing clues and testing theories until only the truth is left standing. And the best part? It's a method that any of us can learn. So let's put a name to this secret weapon. It's a powerful research method called process tracing. And really, at its heart, it's just about figuring out how a story unfolds one logical step at a time. Okay, here's the official kind of textbooky definition, but let's break it down. Systematic examination just means you're not guessing. You're being super careful and organized with your clues. And you're doing it to test your hypothesis, which is just a fancy word for your different theories about what went down, like the theory that Fitzroy Simpson is the bad guy. You know, when you really boil it all down, process tracing is just two simple things. First, you have to be a good observer. You need to take really clear snapshots of the important moments. Then, and only then, can you start connecting those dots, analyzing the sequence to see how one thing led to another. You've got to see the individual frames before you can understand the whole movie. All right, time to open up the detective's toolkit. This is where it gets really interesting. To figure out what a clue is actually worth, process tracing gives us 4 different tests to weigh the evidence, to see if we've got a vague hint or a slam dunk confirmation. First up, we have the straw in the wind test. This is probably the most common type of clue you'll find. It's a hint that points in a certain direction, but it doesn't really prove anything by itself. As you can see, it's neither necessary for a theory to be true, nor is it sufficient to prove that theory. It just suggests something. Now, this clue right here is one of the most famous in all of literature. The fact that the guard dog didn't bark. What does that tell you? Well, it suggests the intruder was probably someone the dog knew and trusted. It points the finger away from the stranger, Simpson, and towards someone from inside the household. It's a fantastic clue, but it doesn't prove anything on its own. It's a classic straw in the wind. Next, we've got the hoop test, and this is exactly what it sounds like. It's a hoop that your theory has to jump through to even stay in the game. So passing this test is absolutely necessary for your theory to survive. But just because it makes it through the hoop doesn't mean it's the right answer. It just means it's still a possibility. So let's apply this. Here's our hoop. The suspect, Fitzroy Simpson, is described as timid and not very strong. The victim was killed by a massive, savage blow. So the hoop test asks, is it even plausible that this guy could have committed this crime? Holmes decided, no way. The theory that Simpson is the killer doesn't make it through the hoop, so boom, that theory's out. And now for the one we all know and love from the movies, the smoking gun. This is that one piece of evidence that is so powerful it's sufficient all on its own to confirm a theory. If you find it, it's case closed. But, and this is important, it's not necessary. Just because you don't find a smoking gun doesn't mean the suspect is innocent. So what's the smoking gun in this case? You're not going to believe it. It's a plate of spicy food. See, the stable boy was knocked out with opium hidden in some curried mutton. Why curry? Well, it's one of the few foods strong enough to hide the taste of the drug. And a dish like that could only have been cooked inside the trainer's own house. This clue is a slam dunk. It confirms the plot came from inside the household, which points directly at the trainer, Straker. and away from the outsider, Simpson. So, Holmes has all these different kinds of clues: straws in the wind, failed hoop tests, a smoking gun. How does he put it all together? Well, he combines them, using the evidence to cross off possibilities one by one until only the truth is left. Let's walk through his logic step by step. First, Simpson is out. He fails the hoop test for the murder weapon. Second, the victim, Straker, couldn't have killed himself. That blow was way too powerful. Another failed hoop test. So with both human suspects gone, Holmes is forced to look at what seems completely improbable. He connects the final clues: the spicy curry, the dog that didn't bark, and a weird surgical knife found with Straker's body. The only explanation left is that the horse, Silver Blaze, delivered the fatal kick when its own trainer, Straker, tried to secretly injure it so it would lose the race. The improbable must be the truth. What an incredible story, right? But here's the most important part. Process tracing isn't just for made-up detectives. It is a fundamental tool that social scientists use to solve some of the biggest real-world puzzles you can imagine. The logic is exactly the same. A detective's clue and a researcher's piece of evidence, they're two sides of the same coin. A dog that didn't bark points to an insider, right? Well, so does a declassified government memo that reveals a secret meeting. An unusual knife suggests a specific plan. So does an eyewitness account found in a dusty old archive. The goal is always the same: find the evidence that helps you piece together what really happened. And we're not talking about small questions here. Researchers have used this exact method to understand enormous, complex issues. Things like, why did a nuclear taboo develop that prevented anyone from using atomic weapons after 1945? Or what were the key turning points that led to huge breakthroughs in public health? This method helps uncover the hidden chains of cause and effect behind history itself. So, we followed the clues. We solved the case. But what does this all mean for you? Well, the real power here is that you've just been handed a brand new tool for your own thinking. This isn't just some dusty academic theory or a trick for solving fictional crimes. It's a framework, a powerful one, for thinking critically about any complex problem. It's a way to structure your thoughts when you're facing a messy situation, whether that's at work, in the news, or just in your own life. It helps you move from a gut feeling to a conclusion you can actually back up with evidence. So here it is, your own personal takeaway toolkit. 1. Break down any big problem into a sequence of smaller events. 2. Be a detective. Hunt for those little bits of diagnostic evidence, your clues. 3. Test your theories like a scientist. Ask yourself, is this just a straw in the wind or is it a smoking gun? Does my idea even pass the hoop test? And finally, always think like Sherlock. Once you've eliminated the impossible, whatever is left, no matter how weird it seems, has to be the answer. So I'll leave you with this question. By thinking like a detective and using the logic of process tracing, you can bring some serious clarity to all kinds of complex things. The world is absolutely full of puzzles, and now you've got a new way to start solving them.